Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Swami Jyotirmayananda Society, our journey to self-realization. Please subscribe for the mystical meanings and to enjoy daily satsang. We are currently exploring Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Commentaries by my worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananda Maharaj, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. We are currently on chapter number 13, and today we are starting from shloka number 24. Chapter 13 is also known as Kshetragya Vibhag Yog, meaning the field and the knower of the field. Lord Krishna continues, ध्यानेनात्मनि पश्यन्ति केचिदात्मानमात्मना अन्ये सांख्येन योगेन कर्मयोगेन चापरे. Some behold the self in the self through meditation, others behold the self in the self by yoga of knowledge, and some others by the yoga of action. So here Lord is saying there are three ways based on people's capabilities and their natural instincts and the gunas of whether they are sattvic, rajasic or tamasic. Idea is to purify ourselves, but through whatever way. Some do it through yoga of action, meaning selfless service. They like to use their hands and be active in the world, so that's the selfless service piece. Then Jnana Yagya, the yoga of knowledge through which this wisdom is dawned upon by the guru, the spiritual preceptor, the teacher, like we are currently doing, explaining the deep mystical shlokas in simple to understand term for the people, aspirants who would like to grow. So that is the yoga of wisdom, yoga of knowledge. And then there are some who would like to go deeper into it through Raj Yoga, yoga of meditation, through dhyana. So they go deeply within and introspect. But all these are the ways to reach the consciousness or the self that is within us. That is the essential meaning of this shloka number 24. Moving on to 25, Lord continues, Anye tveva bhajanantah Shrutvannyebhya upasate te api chati taranyatyeva mrityum shruti parayanaha. Others who do not know this worship the self based on what they have heard from others, advanced aspirants, saints, and sages. They too, devoted to listening to the techniques of the scriptures, cross the ocean of the world process. So, here Lord Krishna is further reflecting the magnanimity and generosity of God. So it is not only for the very highly qualified or the deeply devoted or people who are doing a lot of tapasya or meditation, but also for devotees who are sincere, who have faith, who are listening to these teachings given by saints and sages, etc. So they too are entitled to liberation. They too cross the ocean of the world process. So there are a lot of possibilities provided there is an interest, an intent, and a desire to cross the ocean. Next shloka, yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam sthavar jangamam kshetra kshetragya sanyogat tvidhi bharata arshava. O best of the Bharatas, Arjuna, know that whatever exists, every being or object, whether animate or inanimate, has been born by the conjunction of the field and the knower of the field. So here God is condensing, summarizing this vast concept of spirituality into two simple things. One, there is the knower of the field, the Atma, the consciousness, the God that we are trying to find, the self within, and then there is the field itself. In our case, it would be the body, the mind, the intellect, the ego. All these are the field, different instruments, and the knower of the field is the very consciousness. Whether we give it any name, it doesn't matter, any religion, it doesn't matter. Eventually, we are all having the heartbeat, we all have that Atma, we all have this body, we are all born, we all die. So these bodily principles, which we call Prakriti or the tools, are universal. They're everywhere. They transcend religion, they transcend all these barriers that we have created for ourselves. It's only at our human level, but for God it is very simple: the field and the knower of the field. Shloka 27. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyat swavinashyantam yah pashyati sa pashyati. Next, God gives another important secret. He says, the Supreme Self abides equally in all beings, and through these beings perish. When they perish, that Self is imperishable. He who thus sees truly sees. So here God is saying that the self, the consciousness, the Atma, the God within each of us, even in a blade of grass or an ant or a animal, cat, dog, or a human being, that tattva, that element of consciousness is prevalent in everything equally. God is indivisible. He can just give a smaller portion to a piece of grass or an ant and a much bigger one to a human being. He adjusts in proportion, of course, but the entity itself, the Atma itself, is equal, indivisible in everything that changes, that has consciousness. So who sees this is truly seeing that the Atma is imperishable and the bodies are transient, they perish. There is life, there is death, there is change constantly in all things, all of nature, even the seasons change. Everything in Prakriti is changing, but the Purusha, or the unchanging concept, which is the cosmic self, does not change. The jiva, the self within the jiva or the individual consciousness also doesn't change, because it's the same element from God Himself, which we call Atma. So that's the deeper meaning here. The body changes, the self doesn't. So therefore, there is no such thing as real death of the Atma. There is only disappearance of the body, dissolving the elements back to its source. Shloka number 27. 28. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitimishwaram na hinastyatmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. He who sees the self abiding equally in all beings does not hurt himself by himself, and thus attains the supreme goal. So, what is God explaining here? That one who understands properly that the meaning of the self, God, consciousness, Atma, meaning that same self is residing in everything equally. So, if we have that concept, it's not just theoretical, but you actually believe it. You start respecting Mother Nature, the grass, the trees, the plants, the animals, the cat, the rat, and insect. Everything you see, you see the God element in them. So, therefore, you see ahimsa, How can you hurt others when you don't like to be hurt? Isn't it a very simple concept? So don't do unto others what you want done to you. You don't like pain, so therefore don't give pain to others. That's what God is saying here. If you see God in all things, then you cannot hurt others, as you don't like pain either. And so with that concept, you become sensitive, you become kind, compassionate, loving, and therefore you attain the supreme goal, meaning you start respecting God's earth. It's his play, his show, and we become part of that plan. Next shloka, number 29. प्रकृत्यैव च कर्माणि क्रियमाणानि सर्वशः यः पश्यति तत्त्वात्मानं कर्तारं स पश्यति. He who sees that all action in their entirety are performed by Prakriti alone, while the self or Atman is actionless, truly sees. Another beautiful shloka. God continues to explain that all the action, the transience, the change, the movement, all is at the Prakriti level, at the nature level, and our body, mind, senses, intellect, ego, all these things are part of Prakriti only, Mother Nature, and therefore these all change, and they are all being done by Prakriti. But the self, which is the witness, the Kshetragya, the observer, is changeless, actionless, and therefore it is simply a witness to whatever is happening. Such knowledge, one who possesses such knowledge, is truly seeing the proper perspective. He is rightfully seeing the right thing. He is understanding spirituality in its proper context. Others are deluded or misguided. That's what Lord Krishna is trying to explain. Shloka number 30 we will cover in tomorrow's satsang and onwards. So this is Swami Nikhilananda. Hari Om Tat Sat.